Hello everyone, Rexlent here. The patch that most of you guys have been asking for since day one is finally here, NieR Automata PGR COLLAB. This will be a relatively long video due to the sheer amount of content, rewards, and characters to go through, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And these are the topics that we will cover, which I hope will answer most of your frequently asked questions to the best of my knowledge. Now let's go straight into it. The NieR Automata COLLAB event will be split into two parts for its duration. For the sake of demonstration, we will be seeing both parts in the video starting with the first half. As soon as you log in during the event, you'll notice that your free copy of 9S and his coding and a limited Lee memory set will be given for free as login rewards, so make sure not to miss it. As for A2, 50 of her shards and her coding and other miscellaneous materials can be farmed in the event mode, where every player can eventually get them all. 50 shards is just enough to unlock her for free if you're F2P. More on this later. And now the details for the amazing campaign bonuses that come with this collaboration. You'll notice that rewards will be given out when you've reached a certain rank for each individual NieR character, starting with 156-star memory shards when you own a single copy, and then 30 of their shards when you've hit SS rank, and another 60 shards at SSS, drastically reducing the number of shards needed for the next rank depending on your mileage. For the next significant part of the event and what most of you are here for, the supply banners. As usual, there will be two types of banners, the normal one and its Fate version. However, there is an extra perk this time that comes with the collaboration banners. Players will get 750 tickets back every time they perform 10 cumulative rolls on the character supply. Basically, you'll get 3 rolls free every time you perform a total of 10 rolls, counting the free 3 rolls. In other words, you only need 11,250 tickets to pity your first character on a normal banner and 10,500 tickets for subsequent pities. This makes obtaining NieR characters relatively affordable compared to your usual 15,000 pity banners, so for people who are saving for 2B, this is good news for you. To demonstrate, this is what it looks like. The collaboration tickets can only be obtained via recharge bundles or exchanging with black cards, not event tickets. And there you have it, the free 3 rolls. Unfortunately, the free rolls only apply to the NieR character supply. On the bright side, there will only be NieR signature weapons in the COLLAB weapon supply, so if you happen to hit off rate, you'll still end up with a NieR signature weapon. You may be wondering, but Rex, what about 2B? How will she affect the existing COLLAB pools? Not to worry, both 2B and her signature weapon will be added to the same existing COLLAB supply 2 weeks after the start of the event, so your pity count and roll progress will be retained. The entire banner will last until August 10th, so you have quite a while to save up for her. All NieR characters will come with their 5-star weapon by default for free. With the supply banner information out of the way, let's talk about the bundles. If you're F2P, please bear with me, and if you're a spender, this part will be crucial to your planning. As you can see, there is a myriad of bundles, some of them released in the latter half of the event duration, so feel free to explore them at your own time when the game is live. But I want to talk about 4 particular bundles that stand out from the rest. You'll come across bundles that cost 299 RC that gives 30 shards for each individual NieR character. This is to supplement your existing copy to get them to SS rank. 299 is quite the bargain for a full S rank. You'll also notice that A2 has an additional bundle of 10 shards for 28 RC, and I am going to explain to you how this is used. If you remember at the start of the video when I mentioned that the game gives 50 A2 shards to unlock her for free, this is what the 10 shard bundle is for in conjunction with the 30 shard bundle if you have intentions of ranking her up to SSS. Having difficulty following? No worries, I'll simplify it for you. If you have plans to raise A2 beyond S rank, don't use the 50 free shards to unlock her. Instead, roll the supply banner for the first copy of A2, and then use the shards from the bundles to rank her up, and the bonus shards from the campaign will do the rest. So to summarize, roll your base copy of A2, and use 30 of the 50 free shards to get her to SS rank. The system will award you an additional 30 shards for reaching that rank. Now add 10 and 30 shards from the bundle, and you will have enough for SSS rank. In short, you only need to pull 1 copy of A2 yourself and spend 327 RC in total, and you'll get yourself an SSS rank unit. I know, right? Mind-blowingly easy, all things considered. With that out of the way, let's move on to the event itself. As customary with past events, there will be a farming stage to spend your serum on, and this time the event shop will have Catherine, Patton, Philip II, and Frederick on discount, so this is a good time to stock up on them if you've missed them in the past. Various other memories will also be on sale, so do plan accordingly. As for the event mode itself, let's talk about your daily rituals and what to look out for. The event will be split into 4 phases, with the next phase available on a weekly basis. Each phase will consist of story nodes, NieR Event Character Unlock Node, and a Boss Node. Various activities will award broken coins, which then can be exchanged for A2 shards, coating, and upgrade materials. So journey with Grey Raven as you unfold the story of this collab event. Once you're done with the story of a particular phase, you will have access to the node to unlock a NieR Automata character for this event mode. In this case, clearing this node will allow you to use A2 for the duration of this event. Now that you've obtained a character, before you attempt the boss, head over to Yorha Archives, and then go to Improve. This is where you can strengthen your event units and pot by spending a currency given to you daily, so be sure not to miss this. Once you've cleared the stage, both the character and pot will receive experience points. And once you're of sufficient level, you can further unlock their memory, signature weapon, and rank by clearing these EX stage nodes on the right. This is also a good opportunity for you to playtest the Yorha characters to see if they're to your liking. And there you have it. Continue to do this each day to eventually upgrade the units completely. Once you're done with the upgrades, that's the best time to attempt the boss node. Players will be required to deal as much damage as possible to meet a certain threshold for rewards. Don't worry if you're unable to meet the damage check because your progress will be carried over to the next day, so eventually everyone will be able to clear it. Head over to Abyssal Action to claim your milestone rewards, mainly the broken coins that you'll need for exchanging A2 stuff. Repeat this process of unlocking and leveling the Yorha units every day and killing all bosses of each phase, and eventually you'll clear out the shop in no time. And that concludes the event guide with as few spoilers as I could manage. If you're ever unsure of what to do in this event mode, be sure to click here on the exclamation mark to bring up the in-game guide. And now, the section that most are actually here for, the NieR Automata character guides. As there is much to unpack, we will first be going through each character's individual orbs, core passives, rank passives, and weapons, followed by their viability as a team on various ranks and investments, starting with A2. A2 has the tank role of the trio and she's a potential powerhouse when played correctly. Her red orb, being her strongest orb, is a simple combo that has an extra finisher by tapping the basic attack after it reping. Yellow Orb is another combo attack, and this particular orb will be mentioned again when we get to her signature weapon later. Now this is one of A2's most powerful assets, her Blue Orb, which is also her switch-in attack. A2 tosses a gravitational field, pulling virtually most of the map into it. And when I say most of the map, the range is actually that insane. Think Blast Karen's Yellow Orb times 100. It's extremely useful when you're up against large waves of enemies like Warzone and Stronghold. Basic attack is a simple combo which builds up her shield gauge over time. And now for her signature move, which is central to A2's gameplay, her Berserk mode. Entering the mode would constantly drain her shields and then her HP while gaining a boost to her reduction in damage taken, move speed, damage, and basic attack speed, and she also gains super armor. The mode will be deactivated after her HP reaches the default threshold of 60%. It can also be manually deactivated, but there isn't really much of a reason to do that. As you may have noticed, the pod's firing a salvo of missiles every time a 3-ping is performed. That is part of A2's core passive ability. 3 pings will also generate shields for her. The pod missile attack is how A2 applies defense reduction on enemies for 5 seconds, 20% by default, and doubled to 40% when 9S and 2B are in the team. She can also perform a slide by holding down the evade button, which will slightly pull enemies behind her while generating a considerable amount of shield. This is a viable strategy for low-rank A2 owners to build up shields quickly. For her leader skill, it benefits all Yorhar members, giving them physical damage bonus increase and dodge limit increase. These values are double when you own her signature weapon. For the rank up passives, SS rank grants A2 50% shield every time she enters the field, making it easier to activate Berserk mode each time, and pod missiles will fire every 4 seconds during Berserk mode. This stacks with the missiles you get when performing 3 pings. And switching out of the battlefield while Berserk is active will grant the next character a physical damage increase when 2B and 9S are in the team. Take note that the missiles will still continue to fire off-screen every 4 seconds as long as A2's Berserk is still active, meaning the enemies are constantly getting defense down debuffs as long as the Berserk is on. And this is what makes A2 the strongest member of the team, her SSS rank. Her blue orb will now weaken enemies' attack damage, and the pod missile damage is also doubled. And most important of all, the base value of the defense down is increased to 40%. That means 80% when 9S and 2B are in the team. Coupled with Catherine memory, that means a total of 100% defense down, and with the missiles every 4 seconds from the SS passive, the enemies have their defenses perpetually shredded. This is why most people would go for SSS A2 first, and considering the relative ease of doing that explained in the video earlier. SSS Plus is pretty straightforward and as usual is the icing on the cake. It makes maintaining her Berserk easier off-screen with the reduced deactivation threshold and HP drain rate, while also granting a damage increase. And that wraps up A2's kit. Next we'll look at her weapons. Her 5-star lance is decent, but if you can help it, I would highly recommend her signature weapon. If you look at the tooltip over here on the right, it grants a myriad of buffs and basically changes how A2 is played in a good way. Having the weapon would allow A2 to quickly access Berserk at 40% gauge, an attack up buff during Berserk, and most importantly, an extra charge attack combo that you can perform after every dodge. This attack in itself is quite a nuke and will consume all yellow orbs, granting A2 physical damage up and further damage increase based on the number of yellow orbs consumed, up to a cap of 3. The expended yellow orbs will also be converted into shield. The tracking of this attack is also deadly accurate, and it also counts as a basic attack, so A2 will still be generating orbs during it, so you will never have much of a reason to perform the basic attack combos again. And that wraps up A2's kit. Now let's move on to 9S. Red Orb is a simple beam attack from the pod. Yellow Orb generates a field that slows down enemies in it. More pings for more duration. Blue Orb is 9S's main healing ability. Allies in the ring will be healed for a percentage of his attack while also damaging enemies in it. And this is where it gets different. Not only that 9S has a post-sprint attack, he doesn't generate signal orbs from his basic attacks like other constructs do. Instead, he gets them automatically every 2.5 seconds in the battlefield. So take note that you don't have to do basic attacks with 9S if you want orbs. His signature move is one of my favorite gimmicks of this collaboration. If you've played the original NieR Automata, you'll know that 9S has hacking abilities, and the best part of it is that it's also here in PGR. The minigame freezes the timer and is purely aesthetic. Destroy all nodes and 9S will deal damage with his hacking. If you wish to save time, the minigame can also be toggled off by tapping on this button here on his signature page. As for his core passive, notice how there's always a special orb to the right of the screen whenever a 3-ping is performed. That is called an overclock indicator orb, which triggers 9S's core passive attack when there is at least 50% gauge. Pinging the overclock indicator orb will consume all available orbs of the corresponding color on your bar, enhancing the core passive attack up to a maximum of 3 orbs. Surplus orbs consumed will be returned as random orbs. 9S's switch cooldown will be reduced by 1 second for each core passive performed while he was on the field, up to a maximum of 4 seconds. Next, similar to A2's leader passive, 9S also grants 8% physical damage to all Yorha members, and 10% extra damage reduction. These values are doubled when his signature weapon is equipped. SS rank allows 9S to carry an additional overclock indicator orb and also gains a bonus one every time he switches into the field. QTE and Blue Orb will now also grant a 10% physical damage up buff to A2 and 2B in the team for 8 seconds. SSS rank is the point where you will actively switch NieR to the field whenever he's ready, because not only his orb generation speed has been upgraded to a rate of 1.5 seconds, but he can also now generate orbs outside the battlefield, meaning whenever you switch to NieR, chances are you'll have 16 full orbs to spam with. His physical damage buff from his QTE and blue orb is also upgraded to 20% for 12 seconds. As usual, SSS Plus is the icing on the cake. NieR gains a short invulnerability buff whenever he performs his core passive, and a 20% physical damage increase for himself when A2 and 2B are in the team. As for his weapons, just like A2, the signature weapon doubles his leader effect and also grants more physical damage and healing. Performing core passive with the signature weapon will also reduce the switch cooldowns of A2 and 2B by 1 second each, and also gives them 1 random orb. So this weapon is useful when you're investing a full NieR team. More on this later. Last but not least, 2B's kit. Red Orb is a forward combo identical to the one from the original game. It's also her hardest hitting orb. It's also crucial in her core passive. More on that later. Yellow Orb, also her switch-in attack, can be maneuvered with the directional stick. It's a really potent skill because it applies a 60% attack down debuff on all enemies hit by it for 12 seconds. Lastly, Blue Orb creates a small AoE around 2B. All 3 orbs grant 2B super armor during the moves. Her basic attack combo is reminiscent of the source game, and she also has a sprint attack like NieR. Simply dodge once and hold the directional stick to go into sprint mode. If you haven't noticed by now, all NieR Automata characters can sprint, and this is a trait unique only to them. Next up, her signature move. Her signature move is relatively simple. You'll want the first hit to connect, and only then the rest of the attack will be followed up with a combo, so don't miss. There's a little complexity in triggering 2B's core passive. You will need to first perform a 3-ping yellow followed by 3-ping of any color, and then she'll go into her battle stance for 8 seconds, granting sword waves to her basic attacks, red orbs and yellow orbs. You will then need to ping a minimum of 2 red orbs to get physical damage buff stacks during her battle stance. However, you could just ping 3 red orbs after the initial 3 yellow orbs to skip straight to obtaining both the core passive and the buffs as shown in the top left hand corner. Performing signature will freeze her core passive duration and also refresh the physical attack buff durations. Since her switch-in attack is also her yellow orb, the first part of the core passive condition is already fulfilled just by switching her in. You can proceed straight to another 3-ping to trigger her core passive. Better yet, a 3-ping red orb to get stacks right away. Similar to the other COLLAB units, 2B's leader effect grants physical damage and starting energy for everyone. This value is doubled when her signature weapon is equipped. The leader effect is especially useful in a full NieR rotation team. More on this later. 2B's rank passives all contribute towards the damage output. SS grants crit rate to everyone for 12 seconds whenever any member of the NieR team performs a signature move. 2B herself gets a hefty 25% crit rate, which puts her total crit rate to be beyond 50%, turning her signature attack into a potential nuke. For her SSS rank, her sword wave damage is increased by 50%, and hitting enemies with them will give additional energy to 2B and NieR, and 1% HP of shield to A2, with a cooldown of 1.5 seconds for both, prolonging her off-field berserk mode. Performing signature attack will also convert all yellow orbs to red or blue orbs. In addition, her physical damage bonus from the data correction stacks has been doubled to 4% base, so 8% with A2 and NieR in the team, and up to a total 24% extra physical damage when it's 3 stacks. Finally, her SSS Plus adds even more to her output with some defense capabilities. 2B will have 30% extra damage reduction while performing any skill, and Blue Orb will grant her 0.3 seconds of invulnerability. Having NieR and A2 in the team will grant 2B 20% physical damage buff during a core passive. As for her signature weapon, it skips the hassle of triggering her core passive and stacks, and instantly grants them to 2B when she enters or switches into combat. 2 stacks will also be given, so all you need to do is ping another minimum of 2 red orbs to get it to 3 stacks, and then you can go wild with the orbs. Having the leader effect doubled means that everyone on the team will start with 50 extra energy. This can be exploited in quick burst strategies involving 2B's signature move. With that said, even I cannot remember the number of times all 3 of their names have been mentioned in the tooltips, so you know how important it is to run all 3 of them together to maximize their passives and buffs. The amount of synergy they have even at base S rank is staggering. let alone factoring in signature weapons and rank upgrades. I'm not really a theory person, so I'm finally glad that that section is over. We can finally move on to the final section of the video: team ranks and gameplay. As we all know, 3 new S characters introduced in a single patch is no joke. You may not know where to start as a F2P, Light Spender, or Whale, so you've come to the right place. No, actually, scratch the Whale part, just SSS plus them all if you are. Basically, there are 4 major milestones as far as investment goes for NieR Automata teams, and I will break each of them down accordingly. For the first one is basically skipping 2B and just grabbing the free A2 and 9S units. Not to worry, since everyone has their own reasons and mileage. Some players may have started later and don't have enough tickets to save for other units. Some players may just not be interested in this series, so it's completely understandable. Skipping the banners in this patch will allow you to save through July to August 10th, so that's a considerable amount of tickets by the end of it. However, for the same reason, you have until August 10th to save tickets if you think you're a tad bit short of getting 2B, so that's something to consider. Aside from that, and for players who intend to invest in the characters, the next milestone would be pulling a single copy of 2B to complete the set. As mentioned earlier in the video, you only need to have 11,250 tickets for your first pity for 2B. The team may not be competitive at S rank, but it's still completely viable for every other content, and that also means you'll have a fully synergized team at your disposal for things like Babel and Stronghold. The next one requires a little bit of spending for a really formidable team, and that would be getting 2B and going for SSS A2 and her signature weapon. The playstyle of this team will solely focus on A2 as the main attacker and pulling off full defense shred perpetually. As I've mentioned before in the video earlier, you only need to pull 1 copy of your own A2 and buy both 28 and 299 RC shard bundles, and she'll be SSS with the free event shards. This is the most recommended stopping point for spending players. Last but not least, playing the NieR Automata team at their full potential, having them all at SSS to SSS+. This is obviously the Whale tier. The team is extremely strong in both competitive and non-competitive environments, and with all things considered such as the free shards and discounted rolls, it's still relatively affordable to pull off. Now let's talk about their playstyles, starting with all base S with 5-star weapons. With a base S team, you will be gearing up your NieR Automata units as such. More details at the end of this video. Let's put them in a random stage in Memory Rescue Final, and I'll run you through on how to effectively play them. With 2B as the leader and starter, switch to A2 as soon as the battle begins for her switch and pull, and then you'll be using her full slide twice to build up her shields quickly. That way we won't have to waste orbs and basic attacks for it. Once her berserk is up, feel free to spam all your orbs. The attacks that you specifically want to buff Da Vinci with is A2's red orb, and right before 2B does her signature attack. As for 9S, simply spam all his orbs and core and ultimate and constantly switch between the 3. If the enemies are starting to get too scattered, just use any number of A2's blue orb ping to pull them all back. As you've noticed by now, even at a mere base S rank, NieR Automata characters have an insane pressure upkeep on the enemies. The attacks just won't stop. And there you have it, all base as display of their capability. Moving on to the next best configuration, SSS A2 with her signature weapon. The memories this time is slightly different with A2 going full damage for her set. Unfortunately, I didn't have Lantern memory at this time of posting, but if you own it, then equip a 2-piece set on 9S with 4 Philips. And 2B will be the Da Vinci holder with 2 Catherines. For the team configuration this time, 2B will be on red since she's using Da Vinci and red is A2's strongest orb. The starter can either be 2B or 9S and the leader is set to A2 since we own her signature weapon where the leader effect is doubled. As soon as the battle begins, run up to the enemy and switch to A2 as usual and pop her berserk right away. The next step is a combination of red 3 pings, Da Vinci's and her signature weapon dodge charge attacks, and that is literally it. You won't be switching to anyone and will be using A2 all the way and the battle will be over in no time. Crazy, I know. Oh, and by the way, the signature weapon is unresonated, so imagine with. And there it is, the SSS A2 Solo configuration. And now for the final tier, SSS to SSS Plus everyone with their signature weapons, the most tryhard level one can reach. This fully invested team pretty much works the same as the base S1 where you will be rotating through all 3 characters, minus the inconvenience such as having the time constraint in maintaining A2's berserk and stuff like that. The memory set is similar to the alt base S team except this time 2B will be using 4 Cotties and 2 Darwins instead to capitalize on a signature move spam. The starter and leader are both 2B with identical placements much like the S-base team. It's the same team my viewers see whenever I play the Automata team. It's so absurdly powerful and over the top with so many things going on that most things can't survive them for long. So I've taken the liberty to put up my CM PGR account to go against a Hypertune Shark spiel. As I've mentioned before, the modus operandi for the full suite is the same as the S-base team, so start with 2B, switch to A2 and go berserk and just go ham on everyone. It's so user-friendly at this point that you may risk losing brain cells from prolonged use of this team, much like yours truly. If you remember A2's SSS perk, these missiles are constantly giving 80% defense down even when she's off the field, 100% when Catherine is triggered so I don't even need to think about its uptime. And there you have it. This wraps up the demonstration of the 3 recommended tiers to invest for the NieR Automata team. I have also included a step-by-step guideline should you wish for a general direction on what to get first, and the various team composition with their memory resonances. And here we are at the end of the video. This is by far the longest guide I've ever made, so I hope that has answered most of your questions regarding the NieR Automata collaboration event. I have been answering countless questions from people related to this collab ever since before the launch of Global for the past year, and I am glad to have finished this comprehensive video. I didn't have much time to work on this video, so please bear with me if I missed out on anything important, and feel free to leave a comment below. If you find this video guide to be particularly helpful, consider subscribing to see more of these, and do share it with your friends that may need it, and at the same time it'll help the channel grow as well. I hope that you'll enjoy the patch and the characters when they're released, and I'll see you all in the next video. Hey, did you know that if you ping 16 orbs really fast with 2B, something will happen?